a poor girl, forced to replace her sister on a blind date she never wanted. She thought she'd stay for one dinner and leave quietly in Broken Bar, but across the table sat the single dad Shaw, powerful, intimidating, yet broken inside. He looked at her once, and instantly knew she wasn't who she claimed to be. She panicked, ready to run a Broken Bar, but instead of letting her go, he said one word that changed her fate forever: stay. What happened next turned a simple lie into the most unexpected love story of her life via Broken Bar. On a cold evening in the bustling city, fate was quietly preparing a twist that would change two lives forever. Alina never imagined herself in this situation, dressed in her sister's clothes, nervously sitting in front of a mirror, practicing how to smile without looking too awkward. Her elder sister, Samira, was supposed to attend an important blind date arranged by their parents, but Samira, uninterested and stubborn, had refused, insisting she had no time for rich men's games. Their parents, however, were desperate. They wanted at least one of their daughters to marry well, to escape the heavy burden of debt that weighed on their family. Alina, the younger sister, had always been the quiet, selfless one. She knew the family couldn't afford to upset the powerful family who had arranged the date. So, when Samira stormed off, Alina stepped in, saying softly, "I'll go instead to Broken Bar, at least no one will be embarrassed." She thought she could go, pretend, make polite conversation, and then live unnoticed. She never expected that the man sitting across the table would be someone whose presence alone could shake her entire world. The restaurant was elegant, filled with warm golden lights and soft music. Alina walked in, clutching her small purse, her heart racing. At a corner table sat a tall man in a crisp suit, his broad shoulders commanding attention, his expression serious yet calm. That was Armin Malika, the single dad CEO everyone whispered about, a man known for his ruthless business decisions, yet also admired for raising his little daughter alone after losing his wife years ago. When Alina approached, he looked up, his piercing eyes scanning her face. She lowered her gaze immediately, feeling like he could see right through her disguise. "Samira?" he asked, his deep voice smooth yet questioning. Alina hesitated for a moment before nodding. She reminded herself this was only for tonight, just dinner, and then she could quietly disappear. They sat down, and the waiter poured water. Armin studied her carefully. She was different from the woman he usually met up. There was a simplicity in her manner, a nervousness that felt genuine rather than pretentious. Instead of boasting about fashion brands or expensive vacations, she spoke softly about books, about helping her mother at home, about small joys that made her eyes shine. He leaned in, intrigued, wondering why this so-called Samira felt nothing like the rumors he had heard about the sophisticated girl from her family. As the evening went on, Alina found herself forgetting her fear. She laughed at his dry humor. She listened when he spoke about his daughter, Aisha, and how he struggled to balance work and fatherhood. She saw in him not just a powerful CEO, but a lonely man carrying a heavy burden. In that moment, something stirred in her heart, something she tried to suppress, reminding herself this was all a lie. But Armin was not a fool. He noticed the small things, the way she hesitated when he called her Samira, the way her eyes shifted nervously, the way her words didn't match the profile he had been given. Finally, as dessert arrived, he leaned back, his gaze intense. "You're not Samira, are you?" he asked quietly. Alina froze. Her heart pounded so loudly she thought the whole restaurant could hear it. She wanted to deny it, but the weight of his eyes made it impossible. Slowly, she whispered, "No, a Broken Bar. I'm her sister. My name is Alina." She didn't want to come tonight. "I didn't want to embarrass anyone, so I came instead." For a moment, silence stretched between them. Alina felt shame wash over her, certain he would be angry, certain he would walk away. She reached for her purse, ready to leave, but his voice stopped her. "Stay," he said firmly. She looked at him in disbelief. "But I lied." "And yet," he interrupted, his lips curving into the faintest smile, "this is the most genuine conversation I've had in years. Do you think I care about a name on paper when the person in front of me feels real?" Tears welled in her eyes. She didn't know why his words touched her so deeply. She had spent her life in the shadows, always second to her sister, always invisible. Yet here was a man who saw Kira not as a mistake, not as an imposter, but as herself. The night didn't end as she imagined. Instead of awkward goodbyes, Armin walked her to her taxi, his hand briefly brushing hers. "I'd like to see you again," he said simply, leaving her breathless. Days turned into weeks. Against all odds, they continued to meet. Alina visited his office once, where his staff was shocked to see the usually stern CEO smiling, even laughing. She met his daughter, little Aisha, who clung to her almost instantly, sensing the warmth in her heart. Alina read her bedtime stories, helped with school projects, and became the gentle presence Aisha had been missing. But not everyone was happy. Samira discovered the truth and was furious. "You stole my chance," she accused, though she never wanted it in the first place. Their parents were torn on one hand, grateful that Armin still wanted a connection with their family on the other, worried about the scandal if the world found out the wrong sister had gone to the date. Armin, however, was clear. One evening, at a family dinner, he held Alina's hand in front of everyone and declared, "I don't care about arrangements, deals, or appearances. I care about honesty, and I care about her. She is the one I choose." His words silenced the room. Alina's parents exchanged uncertain looks, but deep down, they saw the sincerity in his eyes. For once, Alina wasn't just a background character in someone else's story, she was the one being chosen. Their love wasn't easy. Society whispered about the poor girl and the rich CEO, about how she could never fit into his world. But Alina proved them wrong, and not with wealth or status, but with patience, kindness, and the ability to heal wounds money never could. She reminded Armin how to laugh again, how to trust again, how to believe that love could return even after heartbreak. And in return, he gave her the respect and security she had never known. Months later, as the sun set over the city skyline, Armin stood with Alina and his daughter at the same restaurant where it all began. He took her hand and said softly, "That night, you weren't supposed to be here. But I'm grateful you were. Because if fate hadn't sent you in her place, I never would have found the missing piece of my family." With tears in her eyes, Alina smiled, realizing that sometimes life's biggest blessings come from the most unexpected mistakes. She was no longer just the poor girl who filled in for her sister. She was the woman who turned a blind date into a love story that would last forever.